I can really answer this in a very easy way, simple way. Are any of these questions, what is the answer to any of these questions? And the answer is no. Period. Exclamation point, perhaps even. And I think one of the key differences, or one of the key distinctions in all of this is going to be our starting points. For the Eastern Orthodox starting point, for the Lutheran starting point, or for the Reformed starting point. For the Eastern Orthodox, as well as for the Lutheran, I think you will find that their starting points are probably much more grounded or framed within the incarnation. The Reformed position, though certainly finding great obvious importance in the incarnation, would ground herself much more in a biblical, word-centered framework. It's not to say that the Eastern Orthodox or the Lutherans are not they don't love the word or they don't follow the word or anything like that. But for the Reformed, it is important because of this, and our belief in the regulative principle, that is, we only do what is commanded. And so we believe that God has safeguarded his worship because of his transcendence, and we seek to be faithful to his word, and as a result then guard against idolatry. And I think with all of these, that the starting point is going to ultimately lead us to where we end up. What is an icon? Well, I think the Father certainly made a great case for certainly what an icon is, just simply a window to heaven, and certainly I recognize that. I certainly would recognize that is what would be the understanding there. But is it proper for images of Christ? Well, the Reformed confessions and catechisms, whether it be the Westminster, the 1689 London Baptist Confession of Faith, which is what I hold to, or it be the Heidelberg, or any number of other Reformed confessions or catechisms, have all resoundingly said it is absolutely not proper for images of Christ. It is not proper at all to be displayed in the houses of worship. And so that's why if you go to a consistent Reformed congregation, you will not find images, you will not find stained glass windows. This is why the Puritans, for instance, were so adamant that there be nothing but the word presented, because of the word and the elements, the ordinances, the sacraments, baptism. These are our representations. And so we, as our brother has already said, we would certainly say that within the second commandment we are forbidden. But it's more than just the second commandment. Most people would say, oh, it's the second commandment. But that's not exactly true. It is true, but it's also much more than that, because we believe that the second commandment is obviously, which is why the Lutherans, I think, are much more, robust in their understanding of the first commandment, lumping them together with the first and second commandment, that we understand that the second commandment is an expression from the first. And so it is a commentary, so to speak, on the first. And so for us Reformed Christians, we would say that Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God, and he himself has fully been revealed in his incarnation. And now is to be encountered not in pictures, not in icons, but rather in the preaching and teaching of the word through the scriptures, and by the Holy Spirit's direction and guidance through the scriptures. And so we would say that we are, along with our brothers, motivated by the same desire to honor God and to maintain fidelity to his word. We would just simply say that leads us into a iconoclastic understanding. So how might Jesus be rightly depicted before the faithful? Well, I say that for us, though some might say, well, you guys don't have anything, I would say, no, that's certainly to misunderstand the Reformed position. We most certainly do. We have three understandings of Jesus being depicted before the faithful, and that is the preaching of the word, that is the Lord's Supper, and baptism. That is all we need. That is historically how the Reformed confessions and catechisms has consistently declared. It's what they historically declared. And so are Christians permitted to use images outside of holy places? Well, Calvin certainly thought so. Calvin had no problem with human creativity, reflecting the Imago Dei, glorifying God through art and the depiction of people or animals or creation. To celebrate the beauty and the order of God's world are certainly permissible. And so I certainly would argue that is absolutely appropriate. However, the images of Jesus remain problematic. Even outside of worship, I think they risk misrepresenting his divine nature and reducing the mystery of the incarnation to a human construct. And so for us who are within the Reformed camp, we seek to honor the fullness of Christ by avoiding visual depictions altogether and rather focus on his revealed word. So for those who hold to the appropriateness of Christ's likeness in churches, do icons portray only his human nature, his person, his hypostasis? Well, herein, I think, is what we Reformed Christians would say. You cannot separate Christ. And so it is important that we not do so. Christ is fully God and fully man. And therefore, you cannot represent the one without also representing the other. And so we would fall back into the understanding of, because his divine nature is infinite, invisible, and incomprehensible, though he certainly is human and visible during his earthly ministry, he was fully united with his divine nature in the one person. Any attempt to depict Christ risks reducing or misrepresenting this mystery. And so what purposes, then, do these images serve within a worship setting? Well, as I've already said, for us who are Reformed, we would say none. And so we grant, in a very real way, we grant nothing. And that is not to be cruel or mean, but it simply is to, in our estimation, I believe, historically, seeking to guard the mystery of Christ. And so what way can these images be said to be unite the earthly with heavenly? Well, we hold that such mediation belongs exclusively to Jesus Christ. And so the heavenly is united with the earthly through the work of Christ, the indwelling of the Spirit, and gathered worship of the saints. This means that these means are in and of themselves sufficient for encountering God without reliance on material representations. This is why you will find in a consistently Reformed congregation no such thing. If you were to come to my congregation, you would be quite bored. For those of you who hold to the importance of icons, you would be very bored because there is nothing. We simply have the pulpit and the communion table and the baptistry all lined up into one single solitary line to remind us of this. Thank you.